Alright, hello everyone, it's Teamrocketdraws here with another Pokemon drawing tutorial. And for this video guys, we're gonna be drawing one of the Pokemon that was requested recently. I'm sorry that I haven't really done any tutorials. It's just, I don't know guys, it's a little bit harder because I'm starting to get to the harder Pokemon. But I decided to do Torracat. So as you guys can see on screen, this is how he ends up looking like. So if you guys want to learn how to draw him, then let's get started. I'm also gonna put up a reference right now on screen, that was easier for you guys to draw, and at the same time you guys to get all your details. Just keep in mind guys that we're gonna start out by doing a sketch, and then from there on you guys are gonna do your final drawing. Just like in my other videos, we're gonna start off by doing a circle. So the better that you guys make the circle guys, the easier it is to follow the tutorial, and the easier it is or the better that the drawing is gonna come out, since we're gonna base a lot off this circle. So the better that you guys make it, the easier it is overall. Like always, we're gonna split the circle in the middle both ways. Just try to get it right in the middle, and once again try to press lightly on your pencil, because we're gonna do a lot of erasing. So if you guys don't really do that, then when you try to erase some of these lines, they're still gonna be there. Once we have that guys, we're gonna do his torso. So under that the circle, like the middle line, the bottom, we're gonna start off a line right there, and then a little bit higher on the left side of the circle, and we're gonna get that shape. Now for the rest of the circle right here, or this other shape right there, I just pointed out that it doesn't go higher than half of the circle in a way. So it's just a reference line that you guys can use to do this area. But as long as you guys get these three shapes guys like this, the better that you guys get them to this, the easier it is to follow the tutorial, because we're gonna base basically everything off these three shapes. So these three shapes are key. Alright, so now we're gonna start out by doing the, what is it? I don't even know, the symbol on his face or his forehead. And we're gonna start out by doing a line right here. And I end up erasing this guys, because this is just kind of like in a way we're like getting our feet wet. Just because we do it this way doesn't mean it's gonna stay like that. I have a little bit trouble, but I do go back and I change it. Just one of those things that we could change later on. It doesn't really matter. So right here I end up doing it this way, and then if you guys notice, it's a little bit to the right of that middle line going down the circle, so it doesn't touch it. So you guys can use that middle line going down the circle as a reference to how far to do it apart. And another thing that I pointed out right there, that above the circle is basically the length of half of the circle. And now we're gonna use a reference line just to do these little spikes. I'm gonna call it a little spike. And it basically lines up, so that symbol that he has on his forehead is even on both sides. So if we do like a line going down the middle, it should be the same either way. So you guys notice right here that it's not on mine. The one on the right, like that little spike, is a lot smaller than the one on the left. That's where I, like I said before, we're just testing our getting our feet wet, and then once we have a little bit more done, it's gonna be easier to mess and fix the actual shape. So this one should be a little bit lower compared to the one on the left, on the right. I mean, if you guys notice, this one's a lot closer to that middle line going across the circle than the one on the right. And the reason for that is because he's a little bit, his head is a little bit tilted, so it should be like that. And then around here in the middle, it ends, and it just connects into this like triangle shape. Alright, so if you guys notice, mine's really off, it's not right. So this is, like I said before, where I go back and I make the changes that I need, just to make it a little bit better. So the whole thing was just to get this shape a little bit there, and then it's kind of like a little ball of clay guys. Like you start it off, and then once you actually have it, you're able to like just like do any little stuff, you know, mold it a little bit better, take a little bit here, add a little bit here, and stuff like that. So that's what we're doing right now, or at least I am, to the drawing. If you guys were able to get it right the first time, then I'm proud of you guys. It's just one of those things that it's kind of hard to get straight, since it's basically the same thing on both sides. So there we go, guys. I believe I do work on it a little bit later on, but I'm happy with it the way it is right now. So now we're gonna add the eyes, which are basically half circles. So I believe I made the eyes a little bit more bigger than they really are. I think I made them a little bit bigger, which it's not a lot, you know, it doesn't really take a lot from the drawing. But okay, so I do erase it, but I kind of added back on there. The way I'm looking at it on the reference is, you see that middle triangle going down the forehead, like at the bottom. His eyes don't go much further down than that, and if you guys notice, the one on the left is a lot lower. This eye is actually like right on the same level as that point on his nose. So if I could go back and change, I would probably change the left eye and made it a little bit higher. So that's one of those things that if you guys could change, go ahead. And the reason, my excuse, guys, is that the way I'm looking at the drawing is kind of weird, because I'm kind of looking at it at a side view. I'm not really looking at it straight on, so it's really hard for me to kind of like get an idea of how everything is compared to each other. Right here it's a lot easier because we have it straight, you know, we got it face straight, and it's easier to tell when something's off. So when I'm looking at it on the side, when I'm actually drawing it, I don't want my head to cover the camera, so I'm kind of staying back a little bit, and I'm doing it sideways, which is really hard to get everything to line up properly. So one of those times where that shows is right here on the left eye, which I do later on fix it. So hopefully I think I did. And right there you guys saw just basically another half circle in the inside, and then we do this oval shape right there. So now that we have that, we're just trying to do those oval shapes, guys, for the eyes the same size. So as long as you guys get those the same, then it's gonna work out overall. So then we just erase that line that we did earlier, and there we go. We basically got the shape of the eyes. So like I said before, we could always go back and make any changes once we have a little bit more done. Alright, so now for the nose. The nose is basically gonna end up right in the middle, and it's almost like a triangle shape. So we can just connect it right there to the eyes, and then we just do a little line going on top, and it gives us the nose. Alright, so now around here, guys, we're gonna do one of the whiskers, which goes a little bit further than that torso shape that we did earlier. Now the same thing on this side. Once again, try to make it on the same level as the other one, and once again right here it kind of shows that the way I'm looking at it affects it, because I do it a lot lower than the one on the right, which it should basically be the same, like leveled out. Now we're gonna do this shape right here for the whisker, the same thing on this one. And one of the things that I recommend you guys trying is just trying to make those the same, like the same thickness, the same length. Just try to make them the same. Now that we have that, we're gonna do another smaller one over here. Doesn't go out as far, and it's gonna be a little bit thinner than the one on top. We're gonna get pretty close to the actual circle, and then we're gonna do another one that goes straight down and connects to the circle. Now we're gonna try to do the same thing on this side. So we're trying to once again imitate the one side to the other. So this one, since it's a little bit smaller, it doesn't go outside of the circle. And once again, we're gonna try to make it close enough. A little bit, it should be a little bit thinner than the one at the top, but I make them almost the same thickness, which it's just one of those things that I didn't really look at. So that's a big plus of me doing voiceovers, guys, that I'm pointing out anything that I would have done better. It's not a big thing, you know, it's not crazy like, oh my god, it's gonna ruin your drawing, but it's gonna be noticeable, especially if you're judging the drawing to a reference, which doesn't have to be perfect, guys. We could say that we're just using the reference as a guide. So just because the reference is like that doesn't mean our drawing has to be the same way. The same thing with my drawing. Just because I have it like this doesn't mean yours has to be like mine. Now for the mouth, and then he does have a little tooth coming out, little fang. And yeah, if you guys didn't catch that, I just erased lines from the circle that we did at the beginning. And yeah, just trying to erase some of these lines, that way the drawing is not too complicated. And just by doing so, look at that, guys, just by doing the whiskers, we're getting it looks pretty cool now. You know, we're getting a little bit more done. Alright, so now for the ears. Okay, so I got a little tip on this side, guys. So this this ear that we're working on, this right line, the right side of the ear should be almost like a straight line. It should just barely curve at the top. And then from there we could do the other line, and there's a gap between this ear and that middle shape that he has on his forehead. I still don't know what to call it, but on this side it actually connects to that shape. So that's one of those different things that it's not the same. So now that we have that right ear, we could start by doing this one. So as long as we get it the same height and the same thickness, so as long as we could get the same ear on one side than the other. So right here I just point out that they should basically be the same thickness, but when I do this one, I notice that this one seems like it's a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner than the one on the right. So I believe I do erase it, and then I go back and I make it a little bit more thicker. So it's all about trial and error, guys. You know, just because you're doing some erasing or you're doing different things doesn't mean that you're not a good drawer. It basically means that you are a good drawer because you're improving your drawing every time you make changes. Doesn't mean that they're always gonna work out, but for the most part, those changes that you make are improving your drawing. So that's what it's all about. And then right there, guys, I just made the shape a little bit higher, the one on his forehead, because it is higher than the actual ears. So that's what I did right there. And now for the inside of the ears, it's almost like a triangle shape, but the tip at the top is like going down. I don't know if that makes sense. So we're going to use the same line from the circle that we did earlier to know where to do the bottom. So once again, just try to do them a little bit the same thickness, but this one on the right is actually a little bit bigger, which if you guys look at the reference, it's a little bit more bigger, noticeably bigger. So that's the reason I do mine a little bit bigger. It's almost like an M now that I'm looking at it. Just do an M, guys. And there we go, we basically got his head, guys. And now that we have that, we can just, like I said before, do some erasing some of these reference lines. For example, right there on the ears. And I think this is where I go back and I work on the face a little bit, or I do that later on. I don't remember, guys, where I go back, but I know I do go back and I work on the eyes. That's one of those things that I noticed that I could have made a little bit better, so I do go back and I change that. Alright, so now he has this little circle. I'm actually not familiar with Torracat, so I don't know what it is, but it's a circle, and it's basically right here. It touches one of the whiskers right there going down, and then it kind of comes outside of the line that we did for the torso. Kind of goes almost in the middle. It's almost the size of his eye. So if you guys want to compare it to something, the eye is the perfect thing because it's a little bit smaller than the actual eye. Now we're gonna do the bottom of his torso right here, so it has this line, and I'm just trying to make it on the same side on either side. And now we could do one of his legs. So his leg comes outside of around here, like one of his whiskers, and then it curves to this right here. So, and that's one of those good things about having these shapes earlier, that is gonna help us do these legs. So then around here, we're just gonna continue down. And now we're just gonna connect it to the top right here. If you guys notice, the closer it is to the paw, the thinner it gets. So towards the middle where his elbow is, basically it's like a lot thicker, and then once it reaches his body, it's gonna be a lot thicker. So this is probably one of the hardest parts, is doing the legs. So now for his paw, this is a really weird shape, guys. It's really hard, at least for me, doing these. You guys can use the reference just to get a better idea of how to do the paws. but the way I have them, I'm doing them here, helped me out. And then right here I'm just doing the 3 toes because he has 3 toes in each of his paws. So I'm just trying to divide that paw into 3. There we go. Alright, so now for his hind leg that's out there in the back. If you guys look at the reference, it roughly is around here. So once again, we can see one of the toes, and yeah, there we go. Now for this one might take you guys a couple tries to make, just to get the right curve on his like ankle. It's really hard, and right there I just did a reference line just to show you guys that it doesn't go further than the body. So I do erase it. I was just trying to like give you guys an idea of how far to do it. And then it's a little bit higher than the paw, so once again I do that reference line going across his paw where he starts, like at the top, because the legs in the back should be the same, on the same level. So if you guys notice, this one and the other one that's behind the first leg that we did are almost at the same level. And now we can just curve it and do it this way. Once again, try to do them the same thickness as well. Obviously these on the back are a little bit further away, so they're gonna be a little bit thinner than that first paw that we did, or the first leg I mean. So this is the corner that I told you guys about, that it might take you guys a couple tries. There's no easy way to do it, so just try your best, guys. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make it as easy as I can for you guys, but there's just some stuff that is just up to you guys. Alright, so now for his tail, starts around here, and it doesn't go higher than his ear, so try to keep that in mind. Right here I'm just pointing out that the tail should be close to the same thickness as that hind leg or the back leg. And then these shapes that he has right here are a little bit weird. I don't think these have to be perfect, guys, as long as they look okay to you guys, then go ahead. It's just really weird. The only thing that I want to point out is that it starts off a little bit thinner and then it gets wider as it gets closer to the end of the tail. So it's just one of those things I wanted to mention. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys, but it's just one of those small details that later on might affect your drawing, or it may not. You know, it all depends on you guys. And then he has those 2 stripes going across the tail. I think I did them a little bit bigger. If I could go back, I would have probably drawn them a little bit closer to each other. Now for the leg right here, it extends a little bit more, and then around here his body, the color of his body splits in the middle. So this is what this line is the black and the red, in between the black and the red. So now I go back and erase that reference line that we did earlier. Alright guys, so we're close, we're almost there. Now we have one more leg, which is another hard leg, or at least another one that gave me a little bit of trouble. So this one should be around the same length as that one, that first leg that we did. So I do make a reference line just to give me an idea where it should go up to. And right here, once again, it's just one of those things where I do it, but then I don't like it. So as long as I know where it is or where it should be, I work on it and I make any changes. So right here, the way I did it right there, I noticed that it's way bigger than the first leg that we did. There's like no way, it looks a little bit weird, you know. So I erased that top line, and then I just try to make it a little bit close to the same thickness as the first leg that we did. So there's some changes, guys, that you guys might have to make to your drawing, just to make it work on your drawing. Just because it is like this on my drawing or on yours doesn't mean, or on the reference I mean, doesn't mean it has to be the same on yours. So it's just one of those things that you guys might have to make some changes on yours just to make yours a lot better. Now for the paw, once again, it's really a weird shape, but they should basically be almost, I think, a little bit smaller than that first paw that we did, which if you guys compare mine, it is a little bit smaller since it is a little bit further away. Now that I have this shape right here, guys, once again I split the shape right here in 3 spots to make the three toes. So this is probably one of the hardest things for me ever since I started drawing. It's just doing like paws for like animals and especially Pokemon. If you guys seen most of my, and now right here what I'm doing is just erasing some of those reference lines that are not on the drawing but are left from our shapes that we did earlier. For example, right there on the leg. Since I started doing my tutorials, have you guys seen some of them where I do paws? I mentioned this on every single one. Eyes are a bad thing for me, and like paws, legs, like for some reason they're really hard for me to do, or I struggle with them, in other words. So there's always something where you're good at, and then one thing that it could be really simple, it could be something that's really easy, but it's just for some reason you struggle with. And for me, it's the paws and the eyes, guys. So if I have trouble with them, it's really hard for me to like give you guys tips on how to do them, since I have trouble myself. Alright, so now right here what I'm doing is the stripes on his leg. So it takes me a couple tries just to get them like even or the way I want them, because the way I'm looking at the reference, the bottom stripe is actually connected to the paw, and then the top stripe is actually right there where the leg like bends. So just trying to make them like even, it's a little bit hard, so it might take you guys a couple tries to work that out. So then I do color them in and pencil lightly, that way it's not too confusing. The same thing on these back here, but these are a little bit thinner, like compared to that first stripes that we did. These in the hind legs are a little bit thinner, so that's one of those other things that you guys might want to take in consideration. I can't even say that word. And then right here I give them a little bit more booty, because yeah, it wasn't like you know, it didn't look right, so I do round it off a little bit more like the reference. Alright, same thing on this side, and the stripes on this leg should almost be the same thickness as I point out to the ones on the other leg. So it's just one of those things that you might forget. It's easy to forget, but as long as you remember and compare as you're going, it makes your drawing a little bit better. You need to make it a habit of like comparing as you're drawing as you're going to other areas, just so it could work out. So once again, one of those things where we're comparing is the thickness of these stripes over here on this leg to the first leg that we did. If you guys notice, it's fairly the same thickness. It's not exactly the same, but it's consistent, in other words, roughly. Right there I'm pointing out once again that it should be almost the same thickness on this side. And even now, by looking at it, that leg that we did the stripes on, this one right here, the one that stretched out, is still bigger than the first leg that we did, but it's not like a big thing, you know. It's not like, oh my god, it's really noticeable. But now that I'm looking at it, it's kind of bothering me. So if I could go back and change that, I probably would. Sorry guys, I'm talking for a long time. 25 minutes of non-stop talking, it kind of affects your voice a little bit. Alright, so now for this stripe that he has in the back. So it takes me a couple tries. So the best way it was to do it for me was just to start off by doing the back and then just doing the spike and then connecting it to the bottom right there. And then don't forget to do that little strap that connects to the head from the whisker, the top whisker, to the head. So there we go. So what I'm doing right now, guys, is just going over the drawing and seeing anything that I forgot, because I'm looking at the reference on my tablet. I have it like in front of me, so when you guys see me pause, that's what I'm doing. I'm like looking at my tablet, and something that I forgot was the claws, which are kind of like these curved triangles. And this is where the comparing part happens again. Like I said earlier, Just try to do each of these claws the same thickness. And on this claw right here, since this one should be a little bit bigger because it's closer to us, like if we're looking at the drawing, it's a little bit closer. So these should technically be a little bit bigger than the ones that on the left, but not by too much, you know, but technically they should be a little bit bigger. There we go. So after I have this, this is what I call a sketch, guys, because we're not done, you know. It's our drawing. It's not a drawing yet, or at least not for me, like a full-on drawing. We're still in the like testing stage where we could make changes to it. So it's still technically a sketch, because we're like making changes to it. It still has that. We're still I don't know how to explain it, but we can still make changes. So the way I do it here is I go back after I have my sketch and then just like do some erasing, like any of the reference line that we did earlier. That way it's not confusing, because just having so many lines might make it a little bit confusing. So go over the reference or my drawing and then just look at yours, and if there's something that you guys could change, go ahead. Right here I made some changes, guys, which I didn't do on camera. One of those changes was the eyes. Like I said before, I did go back and I work on the eyes a little bit. I thought the left eye went a little bit too down, like it went down too much. So I did change that, and also worked on the middle thing that he has going down on his forehead. It's another thing that I worked on, just trying to even out the both sides. So if you guys notice, it's a little bit better, and I think that's it. I don't think I made that many changes. And then I ended up outlining it in pen, and then I used my markers to color him in, and then I just went over it with some watercolor color pencils. And overall, guys, it came out amazing. This is how it really came out, this drawing right here, this picture of it. The reason it doesn't look the same on the video when I'm coloring it was because of the lights. The lights were hitting it, so it was making it like really bright. You weren't able to see those colors, you know, those rich colors. It was just like you couldn't see the shades. So this is how he ended up coming out, and I was just like, oh my god, it looks nice, you know, at least for me, because I'm not good at drawing, guys. I have trouble not drawing, coloring. I have trouble coloring, so when I colored, you know, I was like, oh my, I was happy with it. I am happy with it, you know, because it came out great. I never really done that where I use markers and then I go over it with color pencils. I've never really done that, but I've seen that on other people doing that, and it just looks amazing. So I wanted to try that myself, and overall it just works out really good. I just used a regular red for his red area, and then I used like a darker red on my color pencil to do like the shadows, which just, oh my god, I'm really happy with it. It looks way better than on the video. You know, this picture looks way better on the video. So my drawing on the paper looks way better than it looks here on the video, guys. Just trust me. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I hope I was able to help you guys out. If I wasn't, I'm really sorry. I apologize. You guys could try to redraw him, or there might be a better tutorial on him around, you know, by someone else. You know, like everybody has their own way of doing stuff, so you might find someone else doing it a little bit better, more helpful. So I'm sorry if I wasn't able to help you out, but if I was, guys, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if you guys ended up drawing him and how he came out. Remember, you guys could always share your drawings to be featured on the beginning of my videos, just like the ones, I don't know if I have any for this video, but usually I post some drawings at the beginning of each of my tutorials from people who send in the drawings, their Pokemon drawings. So if you guys want them featured, make sure to send them to me. The links will be in the description. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. Don't forget to leave a like, to subscribe for more videos, and I guess I'll just catch you guys on the next one. Team Rocket Draws